we've got a world that's been influenced by the Christian story, and maybe they don't recognize it, how do we think about the world? Because I think sometimes we have this kind of real dichotomy that there's the church and there's the world. They are diametrically opposed, and in many senses they are. But there's in one sense that you're arguing that they've actually been influenced, especially in Western society, by that Christian story. So how can we think about the world now that with that kind of view that actually they have been influenced somehow by Christianity?
Jesus told that parable in Matthew 13, and the equivalent is in Mark chapter 4. And it begins with this very practical seed sowing parable about how the kingdom grows. And that's really good for your personal evangelism to recognize you'll have all these different soil types around you, and there are those who are very hard to the gospel, and then there's the shallow soil, and there's the thorns, and then there's the good soil. And you've got the same seed, which is the word of God, and you scatter that seed, and it'll have different kinds of effects. But there's just one job that we have constantly, sow the seed, sow the seed, sow the seed. And then at the end of Matthew 13, Jesus summarizes all the parables from that chapter, and he said, the kingdom is like a mustard seed, that though it is the smallest of all seeds, yet it grows to become the largest of garden plants, so large that even the birds perch in its branches. And you can ask yourself, well, where did we last see those birds in Matthew chapter 13? Well, the first soil type, remember, the very first thing Jesus said about seed and birds was that as you begin that process, the birds come and snatch away the seed. And Jesus says this is like satanic opposition to the gospel, kind of people snatching away the gospel seed. And yet by the end of Matthew chapter 13, the birds, where are the birds now? Well, after a very long process of the seed becoming the mustard tree, after a very long process, suddenly the birds are not bigger than the seed. Now, the kingdom is much bigger than the birds. And the birds are they might be pecking away at that tree. And even they are now perching in the branches of the tree that Christ's word has grown.